Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Travel Agent Success Series, the series web show that is all about travel agents. It's about creating success, looking for success, and sharing success in your travel business. It's a weekly, I need to turn those notifications off. It's a weekly series created specifically for aspiring travel agents that are wanting to learn how to be a travel agent, how to grow their travel business, but how to do so successfully. And today, we're kind of piggybacking on what we talked about last week, which is that money, and we're going to talk about profit hacks.
Which is a term that Shannon coined last week, which I love. Profit hacks for
Right.
travel advisors.
Yeah. And most travel agents will start up their business because it's their passion, right? How many times do we
Absolutely.
hear that? It's my passion.
Right.
And most travel entrepreneurs do. And then they realize they can make money at selling travel. And then the smart ones realize that they can make good money by having a life and a business that they love, selling travel. And then the brilliant ones realize, there's some profit hacks in this business and I can really increase my bottom line.
Right.
And Sandy, they say that money can't buy happiness. However, if money pays for airline tickets, cruises, tours, massages, well, that's happiness to me, right?
Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you, I was recently on a Windstar cruise and I dropped a lot of money in the spa. And that's happiness.
It is. Well, welcome everybody to our Travel Agent Success Series. I'm Shannon Cunningham, Membership Engagement Specialist at Gifted Travel Network, and someone who is passionate about helping you, travel advisors, to be a success in a business that you love, to create a life that you love. And Sandy, tell us who you are.
So I'm Sandy Saburn. I'm Vice President of Membership at Gifted Travel Network. And like Shannon, I love helping people either explore this industry and who are thinking about getting into it, because there is a lot of opportunity, and also helping people who are already in the industry to know how to work smarter, not harder, and have a even better business.
That's awesome. And we've got people watching. Let us know where you're watching from. Good morning, Shamika. Thanks for joining us. We come to you every Thursday and we talk shop, talk business. And Sandy has 5 profit hacks for us. So if you're looking for a way to get more money, get more bottom line in your pocket, yes, that money, that green dinero, we're going to talk about it. So Sandy, why don't you go through those 5 hacks that you have for us?
Absolutely. So last week, when Shannon, we were talking about money, and you said that you mentioned the term profit hacks, I was like, that's a great term. And so I have started writing a series of articles that will begin 2 weeks from today, and they will go out in our weekly e-zine. And if you're not getting that, you can email us and we'll be happy to add you to it. It's just a free e-zine that comes out every week with information for travel advisors. So you just join us at giftedtravelnetwork.com. And I'm going to, over the course of 5 weeks, I'm going to dig deep into what I consider the 5 most important profit hacks. So these are areas where you can make more money without working harder. Now, it's easy for me to say, if you want to double the amount of money that you're making, double the amount of bookings. Well, that's double the amount of work in most cases. So these are things that you can do without actually adding more work to what you're doing. And they're each 5 different areas that you would want to take a look at. So the first one is to add or increase fees. And that's something that we talk a lot about in the travel industry, and has been a topic of conversation for the last, I don't know, Shannon, 5, 6, 7 years, really. It's been a hot topic. And so it is important to look at those fees and see if what you're charging now is in line with where you should be charging. So fees are the first thing, and I can talk more about each of these. Increase your average transaction size is number 2. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but think about it. If you made 20 or 30 or 50 bookings a year or more, and you increase the average that you put in your pocket from each one, because the transaction size went up by $100 or $200 or $500, that's a significant amount of money. And so increasing that transaction size is a very quick way to, and usually it's an easy way to put more money in your pocket. The other thing is to look at your hosting expenses. And this is one I'm going to come back to in a minute and talk a little bit more in depth about, because it's something that people don't often think about. And then in line with that sort of is, if you are working independently, so you're working under a CLIA number or a true number or an ODA number, and you're completely on your own, you probably need to look at whether or not that's the right decision for you financially. Because yes, you're keeping 100% of your commission, but your commission is going to be smaller than it would be if you were with a host agency. And then finally, the fifth point is sell travel insurance. Your clients need travel insurance. Especially if they're leaving the country, they need travel insurance. And I know advisors that put an extra $10, $20, $30,000 a year in their pocket just from travel insurance. So you can significantly increase what you make by offering something that your clients need, and that's travel insurance. So those are my 5 things. Add or increase your fees, increase your average transaction size, look at your hosting expenses, and look at the options of hosting versus working independently. And then the 5th one is sell travel insurance.
Those are good ones. Those are all good ones. And it's interesting. I had somebody contact me the other day, so I still technically am an advisor. And she said, I know I didn't use a travel agent. I'm kicking myself in the butt. This is the 3rd time I've rescheduled this trip. I can't figure out how to do travel insurance. Can you sell me travel insurance?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sure. And I was even able to sell her her travel insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't even have to sell the trip to sell the insurance.
Yeah.
If that comes around.
Yeah. And, we have advisors who probably have one I'm thinking of in particular has a 95% success rate with travel insurance.
Yeah.
And so if you educate your clients about it, they will understand why they need it.
It's a
And
no-brainer now.
it is. And some people are just scared of it. And so it's something that you need to educate yourself about why they need it, so that you can educate your clients about why they need it. It's super important.
Yes.
And then let me go back to number 3 and number 4 and talk a little bit more about those. So that is, look at your hosting expenses and look at hosting versus working on your own. And I have an example for that. This is a real life example from a lovely woman that I spoke to probably, I don't know, a year ago maybe. So a lot of people are hosted with agencies that are what they consider free because there's no fees.
Right.
So they don't have to pay anything annual, anything monthly. There's no cost to them. But there is a cost because you have a commission split. And so this person was in that situation. She had sold $475,000 in the year before. So she paid no annual fee. She paid no monthly fee, but she paid $45,000. She generated $45,000 in commission and paid $9,000 of that to the host agency.
Ouch.
So that's a lot of money, $9,000. If she had been hosted with us at Gifted Travel Network, she could have been on our 100% commission plan, and she'd have generated the same amount of commission, because you don't receive any less commission when you're on 100% commission plan. I know there's people who think that, well, if the vendor pays 16%, they take off 5%, but that's not true. That's not what we do. So you just pay a higher monthly fee. She would have saved over $4,000 a year by paying more per month, because you just don't think about that, because it's money you don't actually get in your hands. And so it's easy to just not think about it. Even at $200,000 in sales at an 80-20 commission split, that's $4,000 in fees every year. So you just have to think about these things, and you have to look at the numbers and see.
You have to look at the big picture.
You do. And so at the end of the year, or if you take a whole year and you say, this is how much I sold, this is how much commission I generated, and this is how much I actually received of that commission, and you'd subtract the two and subtract the how much you received from the total you generated, and that's what you paid your host agency. Now, obviously work for a host agency, and I'm a firm believer that host agencies are very much worth paying for, because people who are affiliated with a host agency make more money and generally are more happy and more successful than people who are out there completely on their own. But there's choices. There's hundreds of host agencies. So you have to just find one, and maybe even your current host agency, you have a different plan that you could change to and save money. Maybe it makes sense for you to be at a 90-10 plan and pay more a month than to be at that. So if you've got any questions about that, I know I just threw a lot of numbers at people, and numbers can be difficult when you can't see them on the screen. I'm happy to answer them. And then the other side of that is that there are a lot of people out there who say, I'm just going to get a true CLIA or IATA number, book everything on my own, and then I don't have to split my commission with anybody. I get all of it. And that's true. The challenge, though, is your commission with each supplier is based on your sales. So if you're selling $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 of a product, that's what your commission is going to be based on. Whereas if you're with a host agency and they collectively sell $15 million of a product, that's what your commission's based on. So that can make a big difference. If you have a $5,000 booking and the vendor is going to pay you 10%, that's $500. If you were with a host agency, that commission level might be 16%. So that's $800. That's a $300 difference. What if you had a $300 difference on every single booking you made, or more? That's a significant amount of money.
Yeah, that's important. That's an assistance.
Yeah.
Being able to hire an assistant.
Yeah. So Claudia, I agree. It is better to be under a host. I mean, and you have to find the right host. You have to find a host that's a match with what you want to do. You have your own brand, with most, you have your own brand. You put yourself out there, you sell what you want, you book what you want, but you're tapping into a network and leveraging the total sales that they have. And so it makes things better. And so these are things that once a year, it's a good idea to look at and see where you are, what's working, what's not working.
So Claudia asked if it's better to be under a host with LLC. Does she mean the agent is the LLC or the host is the LLC?
So typically, because you are an independent contractor and you are under your own business, you typically are going to want to talk to two people about whether or not you should be an LLC. You should talk to an accountant and an attorney, because the accountant is going to advise you from a tax standpoint. The attorney is going to advise you from a legal standpoint, a protection standpoint. There's a lot of people out there who are have set up an LLC, but if you're a one-person LLC, you really don't have any more protection than being a solopreneur, because that's when you're just one person, you don't have a board of directors and all that. That's not really considered a true LLC in many states. So that's why you need to talk to an accountant and an attorney, and then see what they recommend. But yes, working under a host and having your own LLC, because you're getting paid as an independent business anyway. So you want to have that protection. So that's something to consider. So yes, Claudia, good question.
Yeah.
So talk to and also your own situation matters. Your family situation matters in that consideration.
Yeah. So, hey, Penny, thanks for joining us. One of the things you talked about too, one of the profit hacks is to increase your transaction size.
Yes.
And I think agents get afraid to go beyond the budget price that their clients give them.
Yes.
You might have a client that comes up to you and says, I want to go on this trip for $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, well, that's doable. And I would always present them with an $8,000 trip, and then a $10,000, and then a $12,000. And I would educate them on the value and the quality that they were getting comparing the two. And 9 times out of 10, they rarely went with the $8,000 budget they told me. They
Mm-hmm.
usually went with the more expensive one.
Right.
So it's a matter of approaching it with an educational standpoint and a confidence standpoint on your, you coming in with confidence as an expert.
Right. And that's a really good point, Shannon. I agree with you completely. A big part of that has to do with qualifying.
Mhm.
And it's important before you even start looking at pricing and numbers and putting together proposals is to talk to your clients and find out what's important about this trip. Why are they taking this trip? What would make this trip perfect? And then you're right. You can then include things that will help make it perfect, which may affect the budget and may
Mhm.
make it go up.
And they
But
just don't know what
no, they don't
they
know.
have no idea.
They don't. And a lot of times people don't even have a realistic expectation of what their budget should be.
Right.
And so they randomly come up with a number. But if you listen to them and listen to what they tell you, and that's why I think that a lot of times agents shoot themselves in the foot because, Shannon calls me and she's like, hey, my family and I want to go to Hawaii and, we're thinking about going here and doing this. And you're like, okay, well, so what's the first question they ask? When are you thinking about going? So they find out when, how many people, and if there's any particular, island or activities that you want to do. And then the travel advisor jumps right into getting pricing. The the next, that's way too soon. What you should have done is say, you know, that's an amazing destination. Have you been to Hawaii before? And what made you pick Hawaii? You're not asking them questions to because you're doubting their decision or you're second guessing them. It's to find out more. And if they say, well, my my son is turning 21 and he's always wanted to go to Hawaii. None of us have ever been. And he's a big surfer. And, that's a mecca for him. So now lots of little things about what you're going to want to try to include and what's important and the makeup of it. And having that sort of psychographic information is just so critically important to being successful. And it gives you those pieces to add on, which increase the average transaction size. It's not about just randomly sticking stuff on there.
Mm.
Like when you go to buy a car, there's all those stuff that feels like the emperor's new clothes. You just don't even know what it is. And that's not what this is about. This is about adding more value to the trip. And at the same time, you're making more money yourself.
Yep.
Because if you're not in business, if you're not making money, you're not going to be in business. And if you're not in business, you can't help your clients.
Exactly. Exactly. And those fees are a major profit hack because,
Yep.
some of our advisors in the GTN community, I think the majority of them charge fees.
Mm-hmm.
But I know of advisors that make anywhere from 20,000 a year just on the fees.
Mm-hmm.
Some more, a lot more.
And in most situations, you process those on your own. You keep 100% of that. And so that's just cash in your
The
pocket.
cash
Plus,
flow.
it helps with cash flow because you get that fee at the time that the booking happens. And then you end up waiting on the commission, but you've already gotten that fee up front. And cash flow is the lifeblood of a business. And I think a lot of people, their fees are just, not only are they too low, it's not really feels like a professional fee. It feels more like a little add-on. Like if I
Yeah.
went to a travel advisor and talking about a trip and they said, well, I charge a $50 fee, $50 doesn't feel like
Mm-mm.
enough of a fee to be a professional fee. So I think, and I also completely disagree with the entire concept of pay to go fees. Whereas I say to Shannon, this trip to Hawaii, you pay me $250 then and I'll work on it. And then that $250 goes towards the Hawaii trip, or half of it goes toward the trip. No, what that's saying is I'm not really confident enough to charge fees, so I'm just kind of hedging my bets here. You really need to be confident enough to to charge professional fees, and where you are and the kind of business you work with affects how much those fees are.
Hmm.
Obviously, somebody who lives in New York City is going to pay a lot more than somebody who lives, maybe where you or I live, Shannon. But
Right.
I encourage you to look at that and really think about what you're charging.
Right. Exactly. So we've got 5 ways for advisors to increase their bottom line.
Yes.
Yep. So I was just reading Claudia's comment. Interesting about the pay to go fees. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm that is my opinion, 100% that it's just people do that because they don't feel confident enough to charge fees. And the other thing about fees, I'll just say this, is I hear from people all the time, well, when they come, I've booked with them, they've booked with me before. I hate to charge them a fee when they book again. Does your accountant charge you to do your taxes every year? Of course
Yep.
they do.
Every
Does
month
your
to work
if
on
you
my
go see an
books.
attorney twice, they're going to charge you both times. An architect, any service professional. So don't
Yes.
have that attitude. Value what you do, and don't be afraid to charge for it. Oh,
Yes.
and I see Claudia has a question about LLC versus sole proprietor. So when you form a business, if you don't do anything else, you are by default a sole proprietor, which means that you are one person. You have all the financial and legal risk on your shoulders as an individual. So if something happens with the business, that's your personal debt to resolve. Whereas you can incorporate either as an LLC or as a sub S corporation. And these are things your attorney can get into, but they're just designations, and they come with different benefits, and they also come with different things that you have to do to be able to create them.
And I think she's asking, which is it better to be under a host agency? I don't think that really matters.
No, there are many host agencies that require you to be an LLC. They won't take sole proprietors just because of the protection standpoint. At GTN, we take both sole proprietors and LLC, so you'd have to check with your host agency. Um, and with host agencies you talk to.
Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, Claudia.
Yeah.
So good. So yeah, lots of hacks, lots of ways to make money in this business.
And
And
there's lots of money to be made in this business.
there is, and people are seeking out advisors now more than ever. Traveling is not as easy as it used to be, so they need that help. They need the guidance of a professional.
And I don't think that's going to change. I
Mm-mm.
think people are going to continue to seek out advisors because just like after 9/11, when we had to start putting all of our liquids in those little 3-ounce containers and putting them all in Ziploc bag, that hasn't changed. I
Nope.
think a lot of things, I think Americans, we haven't wrapped our head around that it hasn't changed, and that it's going to be more complicated, continue to be more complicated to travel in the future than has been in the past, and you need an expert help navigate that.
Right. Right. So again, if you want to get in on Sandy's deeper dive into those 5 hacks, sign up for the newsletter, which is the join us at giftedtravelnetwork.com. So just email that and we'll get you signed up for the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandy, are we going to be back next week?
No, we're going to be super busy next week, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We are doing our annual Gtn Conference, which is very exciting. So exciting.
Very.
And on the page, on our Gifted Travel Network Facebook fan page, on our Instagram page, I will be doing behind the scenes for the conference. So you might not be a GTN member, you might not be able to attend, but I'm going to be giving you some sneak peeks at what is going on to give you a little bit of FOMO, right?
Yeah. Because, if I do say so myself as the producer of this
Say
event,
it.
it is amazing. And we put on a virtual event that is completely different than what anybody else puts on. And I think it is head and shoulders above the rest. part of that is because I am in a group coaching program for producers of events. And so we focused a lot on virtual events. So we've learned from the best people who produce for Tony Robbins and Stu McLaren and Pedro Adeo and lots of other industry names. And so we've loved all that, learning all that, and we've put that to use. And then Shannon is going to be our amazing MC for the conference. So she and I will be very busy next week, and
Yes.
and so we won't see you, but we will be back on September 30th.
We will. Penny, yes, you can still sign up for the newsletter if you're not a Gtn member. Definitely sign up for the newsletter. So
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
specifically designed. Thanks for asking the question, because it's specifically designed just to provide information just for the travel agent community. It's not specifically enough to. It's not specifically for GTN
Right.
members, and and Penny, if you're just getting started, talk to us about our Travel MBA program, because that's how you can actually build a business to start making a lot of money. And that's through Gifted Travel Network. And that's those awards that are, I can't point in the right direction, that are behind
there
me
you go.
for Travel MBA. Those are awards that the Travel MBA program has won. And it's a program like no other. And that's why a lot of people that go through it are really making a lot of money.
Yep, they are. And it's a great program. They know the profit hacks. They have the confidence. They know to sell their expertise and their knowledge and not the products. And that's
Yes.
what Sandy's going to be talking about in those 5 hacks.
Yep.
Rayanne. Hey, Rayanne. You can go to, I'm going to put it back up. Join us at giftedtravelnetwork.com. Send an email there asking to be on the newsletter, and
Yep.
we will get you
Happy to
on there.
you. Yep. And we're very happy to send you the newsletter. It just comes out once a week, and just designed to be informative and hopefully a little fun in the process too.
Yeah, but you'll see me online next week on the Facebook fan page here at GTN, and on our Instagram page, which is Gifted Travel Network. So we are going to sign off for this week, and we wish you nothing but success.
Absolutely. See you in 2 weeks. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Bye.